it's been really, I like it. Like after the heavy squats, I do an hour and 15 minutes of band work the next day, just all rehab stuff,
Right.
So it's just, it really, for me.
You think that definitely helps your recovery, or do you think that it helps you? I mean, are you doing it strictly as a recovery thing, or are you doing it as sort of also, you think it builds a little bit of strength?
Well, I think it's aiding the strength more so than recovery, because recovery-wise, after you squat heavy, this time is the only thing that's gonna recover you, and proper hydration and all that stuff. But when you're, what I feel it does is when I'm under that 1260, the meat, and your adrenaline's pumping. Well, I've done that stuff in training, one way or another, prior, 5-6 weeks out from the meet, So I need a body to hold together when I stand up with that weight, when I'm in the hole, and when I finish with that weight. And I think that's what that recovery type exercise does. I think it keeps the body holding together when you need it the most. I don't want anything snapping when I'm have all that weight. I don't want to think about that.
That's the one thing I've become an expert at, is things snapping. I can't lift shit, but I can snap shit off. This is always the classic story. Tell us the George Hector story, because this one is always...
Yeah, I was hearing briefly about that today. I didn't know this, man.
I would love to see George Hector and laugh about this today, because he really just, all he did was hurt my ego pretty good. So back in, I was living in Maryland for about 4 years before I moved went to college in West Virginia. And up in Maryland, on the Maryland line, we lived on a farm. And I would go up to York, Pennsylvania. It was 20 miles away to train, right? And I was, 15, 16 years old. These guys were so drugged up and everything. And I mean, it was just, I can't even tell you, I was in awe. I just was in awe. And I just loved going. It was called Dones. This place was called Dones. It was in York, and then it later became a Gold's Gym or something. And then anyway, George Hector came up there from wherever he lived out towards Baltimore, and I was like 16 or something like that, and he squatted 800 for a triple, okay, and now this is with the regular 5-pound bar, and he walked it back a step or two. He squatted it for 3. The first rep, his nose blew up and blew all over the mirror. All right, and he kept going, and I thought, I want to be just like that. That is the most awesome thing I've ever seen. I was so scared to talk to him, so I finally went up to him, and I was like, I want to be like you. What do I do? And he wouldn't talk to me. So I got my buddy who was a wrestler from Penn State, who knew him really well, and he goes, Bill, this guy, he's serious. He's not one of those idiots that just don't talk. And so George looked at me, and he goes, all right, you want to be big? Get bigger. You want to get strong? Get bigger. You're too small, and you better start eating, and you better start training heavy. That's all he said to me. I'm like, all right. So I did that for a couple of years. I seen him at a contest. It was like a bodybuilding show or something up in Pennsylvania, and he was like the local celebrity and all. And I had grown, and I was like 60 pounds heavier, about 240 or something like that. I waited until I turned to talk to him, right? Because he was just on Wide World Sports or something for strongman, and or after the Hawaii with record breakers or something, I was like, George, I'm Donnie Thompson. I don't know if you remember me. He called me a little 16-year-old. He said I was a little 16-year-old, and he looked at me and goes, how are we now, a little 18-year-old?
Oh.
Everybody in the group cracked up. I mean, it was like 20 guys laughing their ass off, And I felt like that Fred Flintstone when he shrunk real down and went,
oh, my God.
I put my head up my ass, and I walked away. I just left. I was so embarrassed. But I was like, that motherfucker, I'll get him one day. One day, I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And that really drove me pretty good. I have no sort of feelings towards him now, of course. But, I thought it was pretty good. You meet all these guys, and I try not to be that way to people. Like this last meet I did, I purposely went to people and talked to them and acted like, I was, there was no big deal for me to be there and stuff. And, hey, how you guys doing? So I don't want to make someone feel like that,
Right. Because you know why? I'll tell you why, Dawn. Here's the reason why. Because like you just said that and I didn't even know this, at that IPA National meet in Ohio, you were there?
Yeah.
And you were like 275, and I was like, I don't know, back whatever I was. Because you think about those days when, I can't remember speaking with you. Hopefully, I treated you respectful, whatever, because...
Well, was too afraid to talk to you, Jamie. I never even.
Well, I was going to say, because the reason now, because I'm like a fucking skeleton, and if you see me in person, you could mash me into the fucking ground like I wasn't even there. So, no, but seriously, that is true, though. You never know, like, how the tables could fucking turn. I mean, but you always want to treat people right anyway, just because, I mean, I'm sure that, you're just like Tommy and Billy are, you just treat people right, just whatever. And it's funny to mention that, though, because...
we don't want anybody walking all over us, because this is a one-man effort here. You, Billy, and me, and we've given of ourselves quite a bit for really nothing in return. It's
right.
Some type of quest thing that it's like a disease that he said to you. But so you're already in the red on this. But I'll be damned if I'm going to fuel someone's future by some negative comment I made. I'm going to launch their career to be a star one day. Forget it. If you want to be a star and you want to be great, you're going to do that all on your own, with your own way of thinking. You ain't going to have negative words from me fueling your ass.
It is true. I mean, someone like you has the power to do that. I mean, that's the truth. It's fucking true.
Now, Don, let me ask you this, Donnie. You one time told me that when you were coming up in the sport, I remember you way back in the IPAs. You were 220.
Yeah.
And I think your arms must have been about 22 inches. I never saw the arms that big on a 220 pounds. It was unbelievable. But and then the next time I saw you, you were like 300 pounds. I was like, what the fuck? And you had said that you had talked to Lou, and Louis said, basically, you had to gain weight. You had to gain weight. Now, most people, when they hear have to gain weight, they go, okay, I'm going to be a 220. I'm going to try to get up to 42. You decided to push it all the way up to 380. Now, you also did this where you were eating 6 and 7 meals. You said you brought it all the way down to like 2 meals a day to slow your metabolism. Tell us a little bit about that whole thing.
You got to remember, I'm an ex-football player, so I had played college football. I went to the pros there, Tampa Bay, for 5 weeks, and I got cut, and then I went right to arena football for 6 years. And so I had weighed 300 pounds for like almost 9 years. So I had dropped that weight because I owned a gym, and I wanted to look the part. So I went on a nutritional plan and cardio, and I dropped my weight way down, and I was about 235 when I started doing Louis' West Side thing in 1998. And following it to a T, he had me doing 15 workouts a week. He goes, "Oh, you do 15 a week." And I was like, "Fuck, I'm doing 15 a week then too," And I had lost so much body fat too. I was down to like 222 or something like that. I mean, I didn't have time to breathe. All I was doing was training and training. I was eating like 6 times a day from my dropping weight previously. But when he noticed, he goes, "You are serious about powerlifting. You better get that body weight up."
That's pretty good.
Okay, no problem. So, that was in August, and when I saw those guys in November, right when I think it was when I met you, Jamie, for the first time, and Bill, you were there too, who was in Columbus. I went to 275, and from August to November, I was like 225 up to 270, gained 50 pounds. And then from November to February, I was 308, And then from February to June, I was with Matt Smith in the Supers at York Barbell with IPA seniors, or no, not seniors, World. So, I went right back up to my football weight, and the training that that West Side template you do, that speed and explosive work. I never did that playing football. I was always just bodybuilding mainly, and here that just got me big, man. I was 317 one week. A month later, I'm 325. A couple months later, I'm like 330. Like, what? Now
you did though. You cut down your meals though, right? You went down to like 2 meals a day, didn't you?
2 meals a day, 2 meals and 2 shakes.
So your mindset was to just kind of slow your metabolism. You almost did it on purpose.
Slow it all down. I slowed it all down.
What kind of gear? Tell us a little bit about the gear that you wear. Like, what are you wearing right now? Like with squat, bench, dead. Like, what are you wearing?
Well, my squat suit is that. What's the can? This one called? It's
Leviathan.
Leviathan, yeah. That's the one. Is that I saw all these people doing 12, and they all had that on. So I was going to go with Andy and Vladimir. I'm like, I want the same exact thing, because if they're that much stronger than me, then I'm gonna, then I'll succeed to them. They're stronger, but I did not feel Vladimir and Andy were. So I was like, I've got to do something to make this better, So I went to that, and it really helped me a lot. It really locked in for me pretty good. I didn't have all the flailing around feeling. And then that shirt, found that phenom worked real well for me. But I arch real hard.
Let me ask you this. You're 46 now, and how much longer do you think you have in the sport, and how much longer until we see the 3,000 get done? I mean, are you confident that this is going to fall?
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm very confident in my own ability, but I just have to get some training partners that will stick out the duration of the training. So far, I've had John Morrow. He's a 308 guy. He's doing really good now, and he got his start with me about 6-7 years ago. And he's been sticking by me pretty good. We live so far apart; it's kind of hard to be there 3-4 days a week. So I basically have to get a whole new group of guys, and to train with, and hopefully they'll stick around when I start putting my squat suit on. They all like to train when we're going just briefs, and no shirts. They don't mind coming and training because it moves pretty good. But when you have to dial in that equipment, it takes a while. So if I can get decent training partners and get a meet here in where I live,
Right.
I need to do a meet in my own backyard. I think that will go down a little easier than if I travel those 9, 10, 11 hours. Because I don't fly, though. I just drive. So it's not like it's, I've driven to all my meets, and I want to do this one here in Columbia. And so I need to get a pro meet here, but I need someone to promote it because I can't do that and be in the meet. You know what I mean? So we're trying to talk to people to come down here and help run that for me. And we're looking probably into February or March sometime. The benches these people use are like so small. When I get on them, I feel like I'm on a kid's bench. It's like my daughter's picnic table. And when are they going to get the message that we need these bigger benches? These pads that are bigger and wider hold us up. And then another thing, they want to use these small bars for the squats. And it's just like, hey, so we, there's this bar that they make that's 65 pounds now, and that iron wolf bar, and that holds that weight up. Now, it rolls like a bitch with the lighter weights, but when you get to 1,100, 1,200, it's perfect, and it does not whip when you start squatting. So there's some things you got to do. You got to have the right equipment, or I'm not going to some regular meeting and totaling 3,000 without the right equipment. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to have to set everything up in my favor.
If you hit the 3,000, then what? I mean, are you satisfied? Are you going to then drop down in weight? Or are you going to try to?
Well,
what?
I told James I'm going to drop down in weight almost immediately. I want to drop 100 pounds. Get about 280, 280, 285, and stop my work capacity. And I want to hit. I don't care about the squat and bench stuff. I just want to hit a 900-pound deadlift. Arms will be longer. It'll be no stomach. It'll be great. I can pull a 900 pounds and get that in a book. Right. So that's kind of the goal. And plus, it'll be fun.
Well, Donnie, listen, it was really great. It was awesome talking to you, and I wish you luck on the 3,000. And I hope you break the squat record. Stay healthy.
Well, I would like to say, Don, first off, my man, it has been a pleasure talking to you. And anyone who's an Elvis Presley fan, in my book, like I said, is Billy doesn't like Elvis, by the way. He likes Robert Goulet. You like Robert Goulet, you son of a bitch.
Well,
and I
really like Elvis. All men like Elvis. It's just that, some people don't like to admit to it. But how can you watch the King go on?
That's right.
Man, that's something else.
So all you powerlifting fans out there on Big Evil's Lair, man, listen, the biggest names in the sport love Elvis, so it's a new niche we're going to start in powerlifting. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Donnie Thompson and Billy on Big Evil's Lair, and we will be back after these messages.